Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupini Avatara Varisthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Once again, welcome every one of you. Every year we gather here in Shanti Ashrama for celebrating this very historical place. You know, it is a very historical, a very relevant place in the history of Hindu Vedantic tradition and also in the history of America's spiritual tradition. It is the first Hindu shrine that was founded outside Asia, historically speaking. In 1900, Swami Turiyananda came here. He was sent here by Swamiji, and he founded this shrine, the one behind me. In a way, it survived no less than two miracles. The Great California Fire, 1954 or 52, I believe, and the one that happened some 5 years ago. The fire came very close to this shrine, and this is one of the very few structures that remain intact, almost like the history of our old temple in San Francisco. It's a very historical place, and I welcome all of you once again this year for attending these programs. You can just remember, for the last 1 year we have been celebrating the 125th anniversary of the founding of the Vedanta Society of Northern California, San Francisco. Swamiji founded this Vedanta Society in 1900, April 14. And last year, in April 14, we had a big celebration at the old temple. We installed the original photo of Swami Vidyanathananda that goes back to 1900. It was taken in San Francisco, where he was giving the lecture on Raj Yoga. And again, we had a very big program here in this very place last year, April 26th. That's the Shanti Ashrama Pilgrimage. And again, once again, in our Olima Vedanta retreat, we had a huge program attended by close to 800 people from all over the United States. We are celebrating Swamiji's founding of the Vedanta Society. It was the main theme of discussion among scholars and invited speakers. And again, we had programs in the Bay Area, including the Dancer College and University, Sunnyvale, San Jose, Mid-Peters, and many places in San Francisco and the Bay Area. We had outreach programs commemorating Swamiji's coming to the Bay Area, founding of the Vedanta Society of Northern California, San Francisco, and it was attended by many eminent monks from not only in this country, many great scholars, many admirers of Vedantic tradition, and also some representative delegates who came as monks from India, Ramakrishna order in India. So I want to remind you that today we are concluding that celebration, historically speaking. We began last year, 2025. This year we are concluding. The place is very narrow, very small, so we normally don't have an attendance of more than 120 or 30 maximum. And this year we have, as usual, we have Swami Aparananda who came and did puja here, and also swamis from Sacramento, Berkeley, and this year we have another guest swami who happens to be visiting the United States, Swami Vidyanathananda, who is also going to speak a few words today. And especially I want to thank Swami Aparananda, who has been coming here for the last several years doing puja. He himself wanted, very enthusiastic about doing this puja here, and we are all grateful to him. 95-year-old, the oldest, not the oldest only, he missed that status of being the oldest only by just a few months, but he happens to be the senior-most Swami in monastic tradition in America, and he comes here and does his puja here, and I thank you. And again, another very senior Swami who used to be very regular in attending this event, Swami Prasannatmananda Maharaj, who is the minister in charge of Sacramento Vedanta Society. Because of some physical illness, he could not make it today, and I thank him again for having been present all these years. Thank you so much, Bobby. He will take over on my behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami Tattwamayananda ji. While we're acknowledging the Swamis, I also want to acknowledge Swami Vidyanathananda ji, who is certainly not the least of our luminaries here today. And although he may not be at the microphone speaking,
But he's the host, the main host.
He's the main host, and his teachings are perennial and loud and clear. So the subject is Katha Upanishad, Quest for Immortality, which is actually a very lovely subject, especially given the time point that we're here in this place, which is timeless, but also that we're celebrating a specific landmark 125th anniversary of the founding of the society, and hopefully launching it into many fruitful years into the future. So I'm going to introduce now the youthful spirit of Swami Aparananda ji Maharaj, who will never be retired, who is our Emeritus Minister of Vedanta Society of Berkeley, and a very lively spirit indeed. Swami.
Om Sahanayavata Sahanau Bhunakta Sahavijam Garavavai Tejasvina Bodhitamastama Viddhishavai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. May the divine self protect the preceptor and the student of truth. May the Lord nourish our souls with the nectar of eternal truth. May the Supreme Being grant us spiritual strength. May our students be fruitful in realizing the Eternal One. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. May peace result there in all and flow over the whole universe. And may they always exist in all peace and real peace alone. Om, peace, peace, peace to us and to all living beings. Thank you very much to all of you. Yes, I've been living in California, especially in Northern California for a long time. 25 years at Berkeley. Of all the swamis who spent their time and days in Berkeley, I was the one who lived maximum years, 25 years. However, today, Swami Tattwamayananda has requested me to speak something. I am very grateful to Swami Tattwamayananda because he is doing wonderful work. Especially, he is well versed in knowledge of these scriptures. Not only the Vedanta or like that. Original Sanskrit literature and Sanskrit scripture. We do not find many swamis among us who can represent thoroughly and tell us about the Vedic knowledge covering a wider subject. However, I am not praising him. What I feel, I am telling you. He is doing really a very good work, undoubtedly. Especially the original scriptures. Why we use the word original scripture? Because here, Katha Upanishad quest for immortality. Katha Upanishad. Now, of all the literature, of all the you may say scriptures, Katha Upanishad is one of the the Upanishad that will give us a thorough understanding about human life. We swamis, most of the time, have to deal with a subject which in no way connects with the so-called social life. We are living in the society, but still we are away from the society. So our position, to be frank with you, is very difficult to understand by most of the people living in the society and all these things. But here, say why I am telling or using this idea, because Nachiketa, the key figure of the Upanishad, is the person, young. And what is the speciality? Speciality was he knew the deep meaning of the teachings of the Upanishad. And what is that? Saddha Avivesha. Saddha entered into his being. That is the beginning of Katha Upanishad. And that is the beginning of spiritual life. It is not merely a word, Saddha. Saddha is a self-generating power. At the moment it will come, enter, and a person will be, you can say, convinced about some truth. And not only conviction, he or she will live the life, will follow the truth. How difficult it is to follow spiritual life and the teachings of the Upanishad in the so-called modern time. Very difficult. So what is needed is called Shraddha, faith in higher life. So that the meaning is there. I found out from the commentator of the Upanishad that what does it mean, Shraddha? So I like to let you know about my idea about spiritual life, about the teachings of the Upanishad through this one particular Sanskrit word, Shraddha. The Sanskrit word Shraddha means an intuitive belief in the existence of reality underlying the universe. Today is a great problem in the minds of all the people living in the world. If we ask them, how do you like about the life, the life you are leading, and what do you think about yourself? This is the main thing. What do you think of yourself? What you are thinking of doing in life? Life is not meant for money-making. Life is not meant for just to live the life. It's a deep meaning. Here it is. Correct? Intuitive belief in the existence of reality underlying the universe. The real question is, do you need the help of God in our day-to-day life? Yes or no? I will say the way we see the improvement, the development, and the so-called, very knowledgeable people who are working and giving their life for the sake of their own nation, country, society. Yes, we see wonderful development. There is no much what is called the needs to fulfill any more in life. Though there is a change in the society, in the social structure, in the atmosphere, it's a different story. It is not at our hand. But when we are living in a society, in an environment, whether all the needs of our life are fulfilled or not, yes, today we will say fulfilled. But why then people are not happy? Why there is some kind of, you can say, in the deep state of our mental life, and what is called that uncertainty, I would say. Uncertainty about our life. Where I am going to end my life. You take thousands young people, boys and girls, ask them, there is no need of thinking of such idea now. But they don't understand one thing. There we are. After 30, 40 years, 50 years, their ideas, their thinking, their lifestyle, all are changed. All are changed. Nobody is taking care of them. You will be wondered to know, when Swami Vidyanathananda was working in this country, he was addressing at one time a large number of young people. And towards the end, he said, what is your duty in life? I would say, because nowadays you know that when in a society like West, most of the young people, when they are aged, they don't like to stay with their parents. They don't like it. Swamiji say, I tell you, you go back home. It is your prime duty, the only duty in life, to serve your parents. How? Taking them as the very embodiment of Divine Mother, divine realities. Not as a human being. You are serving the very representative of gods and goddesses in your life. And you know them, your parents. And I tell you, Swami says, that if you do it, serve your parents, take care of them, the Divine Mother will take care of you. When I read this one, the Divine Mother will take care of him, I was convinced. I accepted the truth of Swami Vivekananda. Yes. The Divine, because when I go to give our life for a welfare work and all these things, after some the question comes, what will happen to me? Here the assurance is coming from a prophet. I promise you, if you do this thing, the Divine Mother herself will take your life. How many people will accept this? Here the answer. Saddha Avivesha. Some or other, I don't know why, it happens that this, you can say that that intuitive belief in the existence of reality underlying the universe. This is the whole teachings of the Upanishad. Thousands of literature you can find in the name of Upanishad. If you take one by one, what is the gist of it? This one. Huh? Belief in the existence, not only ordinary belief, intuitive belief, there is a knowledge, there is a conviction, there is an experience of the existence of God consciousness. That is who we are now. So, the Shraddha means here, self-generating power, it means something else. And intuitive belief in this existence of reality underlying the universe. If I am convinced that God consciousness is the reality in our life, whether I believe it or not, whether I accept it or not, that is the truth. So it comes only through experience. So if Shraddha enters into your life, into your own being, immediately there will be this intuitive belief, another power will be working. It is not ordinary power, it is Lord's power. It is Lord. That is why Swami Vivekananda is telling that I assure you, the Divine Mother will take care of you. That means the Lord, the divine reality, the cosmic, what we call the conscious intelligence, will take care of us. How many of us would believe it? So we need something else to do. So next, Nachiketa asks the question. Yeah, I have a question. So what is the question? The question is, to a spiritual preceptor and knower of truth, Yama. I like to know from you, maybe you are the person who could give that experience. That is why I am asking you. From the time the creations had started, human beings had come into existence. What would they be doing in their life? But one question would arise, would be working in their mind. What is that? It is about the innermost divine spirit. What happened to that spirit, to that power, when it leaves the physical body? There is a doubt. Some say it exists, some say it does not exist. And you are the person who could give me that experience. It doesn't mean that Nachiketa did not have the idea that God does not exist, soul does not exist. He had faith and belief in the existence of divine reality. Only he could not experience it. He wanted to experience it, like Sri Ramakrishna. Young Sri Ramakrishna was standing before the image of Mother Kali in Dakshineshwar. That is the story we get. And what is his feeling? The mother is telling that many mystics, many sages and saints had the vision of you. You reveal your divine nature to them. I want that. That is, so time was passing, he was not getting the vision. Today in our case, what will happen? I should have wasted my time here. I can do something else. But Sri Ramakrishna did not do. He told later on, I did not have that feeling that Divine Mother did not exist. Divine Mother exists. Only she must reveal her divine nature to me that I wanted. So therefore, in religious or spiritual life, in any, wherever the people are living their life, in society, however it is called that, the basic need one that we understand from the study of the Upanishad, that they must have faith and belief in the reality of the existence of God consciousness. That will solve really all problems. All problems. So, the meaning is that here, that there is a doubt that arises in the minds of all human beings since the creation started, even today, about the human soul. What happens to it when it leaves the physical body? People are in doubt in mind about the existence of inmost soul of a human being. All living beings, but human beings, we use the word because we are concerned about our human life. It is more important to us and all these things. And that is this story, the episode we find in studying the Katha Upanishad. The teacher explaining all the truths of life, all the truths of the existence of the divine reality. How today there is after reading hundreds of times about Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad and all these things, if there is no experience of a little bit, it has no use, no meaning. Swami our Vigyan Maharaj was living in Allahabad under the instruction of Swami Vivekananda. They used to live there. And many people used to come. Then one retired professor used to come. He was a good person and wants to practice religion. But then his problem was whether God exists with form or without. So every day he would start his life reading the scripture with this idea to know that whether God exists with form or not. Now, to complete the story, we shall say, perhaps in the morning he was convinced that God exists with form. And in the evening, just the opposite. God does not exist with form. So what happened? Time was passing. So then Picard told you, how many years you are passing in this way? When will you meditate, call on, or practice religion, even a spiritual life? So better be practical. So this, when I meant the Sattva, faith and belief in the lives of all the enlightened souls of the world. If I put simple this way, all the sages and saints in the modern times, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Water, and you know about this place here. And Swami was telling the other Swamis also will discuss about this truth. That how in 1901 or 1900, 1899 and then 1900, what happened here? A knower of truth, a knower of Brahman was living here. Do you have that much faith and belief in that episode? A living knower of Brahman, Brahmagyani, spent his time here. Not only that, he taught other people also. So this is all called more immortality. Today we feel that what should I teach people about religion? It will differ from person to person. To me, if I have the ability, I will try to convince other people that immortality is your nature. Be convinced only that. Rest, by yourself you can do. So my time is there. Thank you very much. Thank you. And then for those of you who was here, who used to come here and every year, and now I am quite aged. We don't like to use the word old. Quite aged. And this year also I was able to come.
You're 94-year-old young.
94 young.
Not yet, but about. So Allah, thank you very much. And others, and then, because of my age, I have to go now. I love to wait and to hear the other, but I am careful about my health condition. Thank you.
Swami Aparananda makes me feel the vivid emergence of sota every time he speaks. And if he can amend old to aged, then I will also amend what I said earlier. In innocent humor, I refer to him as emeritus, and we can't play fast and loose with these honorifics of swamis. Emeritus, to explain to an international audience, is an honor given to those usually in academic life for their service as professors after their time in front of the classroom has formally ended. Doesn't mean that they don't continue in service. So I'll explain further when I introduce the current Swami in charge of Berkeley Center, whom I have great respect. So emeritus is merely an honorific for academicians, and Swamis are honored in their specific ways. Next speaker is Swami Prasannatmananda, Minister of...
He's absent. You mentioned earlier.
Prasannatmananda.
Prasannatmananda.
So I will announce the Swami who is present because the script I have has an absent Swami. So that gives me an opportunity to say something about Swami Prasannatmananda. Swami Prasannatmananda is minister in charge at Vedanta Society of Berkeley, but he personally has welcomed me in the most exceptional, warm, and encouraging ways always. And I truly appreciate that. So I'm very pleased to introduce Swamiji. Thank you.
So I am Prasannatmananda. Okay. This afternoon I am going to read the paper. It is because I have to convey a lot of information in a very short period of time. That is why I thought that I would only read the paper. And Revered Swami Aparananda has already spoken about the theme of Shraddha. So in that case, my work is little bit easier. While Charles Darwin revolutionized our understanding of biology with the theory of evolution, tracing our journey from early primates to Homo sapiens. Indian spiritual leaders like Swami Vivekananda and others suggest that this is only half of the story. Darwin focused primarily on the physical level, documenting the development of the body and the complexity of the brain. However, from the perspective of Indian spirituality, evolution did not cross the finish line once we reached the human form. The next frontier is consciousness. The core difference lies what is evolving. Physical evolution, Darwin's domain. It explains how our biology and brain structure changed over millennia. Conscious evolution, the domain of Indian spirituality. It proposes that while our bodies may have stabilized, our consciousness is still meant to expand and evolve toward the higher state. Why the Katha Upanishad matters? The Katha Upanishad serves as a definitive roadmap for this internal journey rather than looking at fossils or DNA. This ancient scripture outlines, number one, the steps, the specific stages of inner growth. Number two, the goal, what it actually means to reach a super consciousness or the absolute consciousness as Brahman. Number three, the practice, the practical methods and disciplines required to evolve our awareness beyond the limitations of the physical brain. In this deliberation, I shall explore how the Katha Upanishad picks up where Darwin left off, moving us from the evolution of the species to the evolution of the soul. In Katha Upanishad, the character of Vajasravas, the father, serves as a powerful simile for the ego-driven human condition. Here is the breakdown of that symbolism in clear, simple language. The name Vajasravas is a compound that sets the stage for the character. Vaja means rice or food, represents the material wealth and basic substance. Sravas means fame, represents the reputation and social standing. The simile Vajasravas represents the ordinary person who performs good deeds like feeding the hungry, not out of pure selflessness, but to purchase a reputation. His name literally identifies him as someone whose fame is built on food. The irony of Vishwajit sacrifice. Vajasravas performs the Vishwajit Yajna, a high-stakes fire sacrifice. The meaning Vishwajit, Vishwajit, conqueror of the universe. To require for conquering the world in spiritual sense, one must give away everything they own to show complete non-attachment. The renunciation is required to conquer spirituality. The useless cow metaphor. Instead of giving away his best assets, Vajasravas gives away old, barren cows that can no longer eat, drink, or give milk. The simile. These cows represents empty gestures. Vajasravas symbolizes the human tendency to want the highest spiritual reward, like heaven, while only being willing to part with things that no longer have value to us. We want title of universe conqueror without actually sacrificing his greed and desire. The root cause, desire. The text uses Vajasravas to mirror our own internal conflicts. Action versus intent. On the outside, Vajasravas is religious and charitable. On the inside, he is stingy and calculated. The lesson. The root of the incident of desire. He is performing a spiritual act for the material gain. In short, Vajasravas is a simile for the spiritual hypocrite that lives within most people. The part of us that seeks fame through charity and tries to bargain with the divine by giving up the useless parts of our lives while clinging tightly to what we truly value. Nachiketa, the ideal spiritual seeker. Think of Nachiketa not just a character from an ancient story, but as perfect blueprint for anyone seeking deeper meaning in life. Here is how we can understand the journey in simple terms. The core foundation, as Aparananda said, Shraddha and discipline. To succeed in any field, especially spirituality, we need two things that Nachiketa possessed in abundance. Number one, Shraddha. This is often translated as faith, but it's more like a sincere, one-pointed love for truth. It is the inner conviction that the truth is worth finding. Number two, inner discipline. The ability to stay focused and not get distracted by temporary pleasure. Because Nachiketa had these, Swami Vivekananda considered him a shining example for everyone, ancient and modern. The turning point, distress as a catalyst. The story takes a dramatic turn when Nachiketa's father tells him to go to Yama's house. Naturally, this caused a tremendous commotion in his mind because he was a little boy. In spiritual philosophy, this distress is actually a good thing. The word Katha, this is the Katha Upanishad, the word Katha means distress. The spark. When we face a moral crisis or deep emotional pain, it often forces us to stop looking outward and start looking inward. The rescue. It is often only when we are pushed to our limits that we feel the urgent need to find a spiritual solution to our problem. Facing the self. Going to the house of death symbolizes something very profound, encountering ourselves. The first major milestone on the path of self-realization is being brave enough to look into the depths of our own consciousness. For Nachiketa, the pain of his father's words did not break him. Instead, it acted like a fuel. It lit a spiritual fire in his heart. Nachiketa, in short, Nachiketa shows that spiritual maturity does not come from a life of ease. It comes when a competent, disciplined person takes the blows of life and uses the energy to seek the ultimate truth. He did not run away from the house of death. He walked into it with a fire in his heart, ready to learn. How can a living person visit the house of death? In the context of Katha Upanishad, this is not a physical journey to a spooky underworld, but a profound psychological and spiritual shift. The meaning of Yama's house, when Nachiketa goes to Yama's house, he is not literally dying. He is undergoing a transformation of consciousness, the end of egoism. It represents the death of lower ego, often called kacha ami or unripe I. It means in this state, all our attachment with the world ceased completely. In Patanjali Yoga, this state calls Viveka Khyati or unshakable light of discriminative knowledge. In Vedanta, it calls witness attitude or Shakshi Bhava, where you observe life without being attached to it. This is the second step in the way to absolute attainment. First was development of Shraddha. The meaning of master and student. Once Nachiketa reaches this state of stillness, he is ready to learn. Yama, the king of death, acts as the ultimate teacher, and Nachiketa is perfect student. Yama grants him 3 boons, which represent the 3 stages of human evolution. First boon, that was the worldly boon, the Laukika. Physical body and social world, it focused. Lesson, before exploring the spirit, one must first find peace and resolution in their earthly life. We know the first boon, that he said, when I shall return, please see that my father will recognize me and all his anger will appease. So that was the first boon. It's a worldly boon. So it was granted. Second boon, the heavenly knowledge. First was Laukika, second was Paralaukika. Yama teaches Nachiketa the heavenly fire and called it Nachiketa Agni. It is Vidya, means a typical type of meditation. In Upanishads, we know there are 32. In major 10 Upanishads, we find 32 Vidyas, means 32 types of technique of meditation. So it is Nachiketa Vidya, means it is a technique of meditation. This fire is the bridge between earth consciousness and the higher realms. The conclusion here is that immortality is achieved by killing the inner flame, by kindling the inner flame which purifies the nature and makes it a fit vessel for the infinite. Focus the subtle body. The second question was, if we perform the fire sacrifice, then can we go to the heaven? So it is Paralokika. So when we go to the heaven in subtle body. So first question was worldly body, the gross body. The second question regarding to heaven means subtle body. So this is the transformation. Shraddha enters into the body. That is the first step of spirituality. Second, burning fire or completely crashing the egoism, kacha ami, completely. Then the subtle body enters into the subtle body. So in the mind, subtle body is the mind. So enters into the mind. These are the steps of meditation or steps towards the absolute. Lesson. This is a special form of 3-level meditation. It teaches how to live a life of merit to reach heaven. The state of higher consciousness. Heaven, we have to consider, it is not like some place. It is a higher state of consciousness where there is no hunger, no fear, only bliss. However, this is still a temporary state of joy. The third boon, absolute truth, the Paramarthika. Laukika to Paralaukika, then Paramarthika. Finally, Nachiketa asked, what happens after death? He knew heaven. He already asked the question. Second question was about heaven. But third question, what happens after death? What does it mean? He knew that a person after death goes to heaven. But still he asked, because the third question means liberation. What is the state after heaven? That is the point. What is the state of liberation? That was the question. Finally, Nachiketa asked, what happens after death? What is the ultimate truth of soul? Focus, the causal body and the eternal self. So after subtle body, we enter into the causal body. So causal body and the eternal self. Listen, heaven is not the end because it is not permanent. The final destiny is liberation, moksha, where the individual soul realizes it is one with the infinite. In short, the journey to Yama's house is the journey from physical, that is the boon 1, to the mental, boon 2, and the final to the spiritual boon 3. Immortality in Katha Upanishad is not just a living forever in a heaven or escaping into a void. It is a state of consciousness, the final stage of evolution. It is the discovery of Purusha, the person who is no longer than a height of a thumb, Angushtamartam Purusham. seated in the center of our being. Once this knot of the heart is broken, the individual realizes they are one with Brahman. Katha Upanishad is a call to action. Its final message is that man can, while still in the body, awake to his divine nature and transform his existence from a state of death and ignorance into a state of light and immortality. It is the story of evolution of consciousness and its final attainment. Swami Vivekananda was the supporter of Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means we are in the human body, but we are liberated. He was in favor of that kind of view. So Katha Upanishad is the testament which shows us the ideal Jivan Mukta. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami Prasannatmananda ji.
Sun. Sun.
Prasannatmananda ji. Did I not get that right? Distress as catalyst, right here in action. But because our revered Swamiji from Sacramento unfortunately isn't here, we do have time for your catalytic questions. Question and answer after the last speaker. At the end, yes. Keep them in at the end. But keep them in mind so that you don't forget at the end. We'll have that opportunity. Following that, there'll be tours of the property. If it's not raining, if it's raining, I don't know. But thank you again for that wonderful address. Appreciate that. Consciousness being the next frontier. I'm not good at the names,
We know that.
but I do know Vidyanathananda ji. And I was told a very charming story. I'll do my best to relate it secondhand, but apparently the Swami was a very, very great devotee in Berkeley. And his post now is in Mumbai, in India, at the Ramakrishna mission. But as they like to chant in sport, he's one of our own. So with that, on the same subject, please welcome Swami Vidyanathananda.
नमः श्री अतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरे सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम. So first of all, I must express my gratitude to Tattwamayananda for asking me to speak here, and I must confess to considerable embarrassment, basically because I'm not accustomed to talking about spiritual themes. I'm much more accustomed to talking about mathematics, and I'm sure that will lead to an empty hall right now. Okay, so however, be that as it may, so the topic is supposed to be a quest, Katha Upanishad as a quest for immortality. And being a mathematician in terms of my what we do, rather than being a monk. And so in terms of doing, we like to get our definitions clear first. So have the meanings of words precise and clearly enunciated. And I think this is also a tradition in Vedanta. What do words precisely mean? So in particular, what does mortality mean? And the root of that is this word mort, which the popular connotation is death, which again, I mean, that's a Latin root, and the Sanskrit root for mrityu is also same thing, martya loka. So that it's this domain which is affected by death. This is the popular meaning. Now, if there is to be a quest for immortality, does that mean that we are trying to escape this world that we know? That seems to be some quest in some very, very spooky domain. And mathematicians are scientists after all, and any kind of quest for science would be, or scientific knowledge, I mean, with this camera in front and taking embarrassing pictures, would be a violation of that, right? So, I mean, our day-to-day life is dependent on what we call the benefits of science, by which I don't mean professors sitting in particular laboratories discovering the various things, but a quest for knowledge in the world. So that probably is not the quest for immortality. What then? What does, I mean, so really the question becomes, what does mortality mean in the here and now? What does immortality mean in the here and now? And that question has to be resolved, as Prasannatmananda was saying, by introspection, by analytic introspection. Yeah? Essentially, analyzing ourselves and coming up and excavating truths from our own core of our own beings. And here is probably what it is about. So usually we associate mortality with death, with the extinction of the physical body. Nobody has lived tautologically to say what it means to die. Right? Therefore, this reality of death has to be brought into the here and now to comprehend what it is about. That's one thing. And there is another word which has a very similar connotation. It's called kala in Sanskrit, which roughly translated means time. It is this being caught up in the passage of time, in the flow of time. If we identify ourselves with our being purely as a function of time, then that time is definitely going to lead to death. Because anything that comes up in time persists in time for a while and then vanishes. So if we identify our individual being as something that is a function of this passage of time, as this flow of time, then that is the mortal dimension in us. What then is the immortal dimension, if it is there? It is essentially then its negation, that which does not get caught in the flow of time. Is there such an aspect of us? And the Upanishads are at great pains to tell us that if we but introspect a little bit, then every day, in fact every moment, we experience that. And the surest example of that is when we go into what is called sushupti or deep sleep, where the notion of time completely vanishes. When we wake up from sleep and we have slept without any dreams, we wake up and say, "Oh, I slept soundly, I did not know anything." What does that mean? I did not know of the passage of time. Yeah. Events happen in time. Events define time. Yeah. And time, these are interdependent objects. Events occur in time, and the passage of time determines events occurring. This is, by the way, this is exactly how physicists define it. Anyway, I'm speaking in front of a physicist, right? I should probably, okay, so this is a mathematician's understanding. All right. So that is the dimension, and this really is what Prasannatmananda was saying when he was referring to this Sakshibhava. What exactly does this Sakshibhava, the witness attitude, mean? It means that one is not getting caught in this flow of time, but is stepping back, so to speak, and so the turmoil that time brings in its wake, like a river flowing with all the mud and slush and maybe pleasant things, that is stepped back from. Yeah? It's like asking a fish, what is water? Yeah? It's basically the fish lives in water, but its being is embedded there. It's accustomed to seeing the flowing, but is being asked, what exactly is this water in which you live? So this quest for immortality is then a quest for the timeless in our own being. And the quest for the timeless is not something that is an esoteric mystical quest. It's something that is very real. There are two things which are not entirely confined to quote-unquote spiritual literature. There is this one fairly well-known film director, it's passed on, called Satyajit Ray. He was being interviewed by another director who asked him about the place of irony in his films, in his artwork. And he says something, and then he makes this one little cryptic comment. And he says, life itself is an irony when you superimpose it with death. Yeah? Because essentially the question arises, then why is this life? And it's for a few years, and then it gets done and dusted, and this so many billion years that this universe has been in, and we are there for a negligible fraction of it. What's the point of it? Yeah? This is the irony. Yeah? A kind of a joke, and not a particularly humorous one. That's one point. Yeah? This is one thing that I wanted to. So this is one thing, and then there was another one, and I've forgotten the name of this the author. It is called Man's Quest for Meaning. Viktor Frankl, that's correct. And essentially, it's when human beings are subject to inhuman conditions, things which we would not bring upon any other being, and still manage to survive. That survival is the effect, and the cause is the success of that person in untoward circumstances to catch hold of this core part of their being which gives meaning to life. Yeah? It's this quest for meaning which is not there in the external realities, which is what the Upanishads call the quest for Sat, or that which is real. Yeah? So when we say that we are hunting for the real in the midst of all this, it is this very common human attribute of the quest for meaningfulness, for a meaningful life. And you take that meaning part of that meaningful life, and the quest for that is something that all of us are after. Yeah? That's the quest for Sat, that's the quest for reality. And it is therefore clearly something that defines our being. So on the one hand, the quest for meaning, and if that's too abstruse or abstract, a quest for a meaningful life on the one hand, and on the other, being caught in the flow of time. Yeah? This second, being caught in the flow of time, automatically implies, here at a certain extreme, what it implies is that there is a certain forgetfulness of this quest for a meaningful life. This forgetfulness is therefore where we must hunt for the meaning of death. This again, it's in something called the Sanat Sujatiya Samvada. This is exactly what is defined as death. Pramada vai mrityu. Pramada means this forgetfulness. The self-forgetfulness is exactly what death is about. Yeah? So the Kathopanishad is defined, so having, it's basically setting up the context takes mathematicians half the time and more. Okay, so there are two parts to this. So the first is this, and so now where does the Kathopanishad, this is basically trying to get at one part of the theme of the talk, what exactly does quest for immortality mean? Where does the Kathopanishad fit into all this? So the Kathopanishad has these two chapters, and the second chapter starts with this: Paranchi khani vyatirinat swayambhu tasmat parak pashyati na antaratman kaschit dhira pratyagatmanam aikshat avritta chakshu amritatvam icchan. So again, I'll translate that. The second verse is the second line of that first verse, amritatvam icchan. So okay, let's assume that all of us here have at some level at least paying lip service to the quest for immortality. Yeah? So this is amritatvam icchan, desiring immortality. What does the person do? And so somehow or the other, very conveniently, this is something that the Upanishads don't do too often, which is somehow or the other transfer all the blame to the self-same God. Yeah? Paranchi khani vyatrinat swayambhu. Yeah? Swayambhu is supposed to be a description of the self-created or self-evolved. It's supposed to be a title for God. It's apparently God himself, in his great wisdom, directed our senses outward by doing violence to them. Yeah? Paranchi khani vyatrinat swayambhu. And therefore, I am not to blame. God has created me. Right? Vyatrinat swayambhu tasmat parak pashyati. Therefore, I see outward. What kind of ridiculous reasoning? Yeah? I mean, God is to blame, and therefore He has created all this nonsense, and He has directed my senses outward. Therefore, I see outward. Paranchi khani. This is something that Vivekananda consistently spoke of. Responsibility should be taken on my own shoulders. It's just something that. It's just saying that I am not really aware of what the real reason is. So there's some kind of a little story which is supposed to explain why our senses are directed outward. Therefore, so don't take that as a reason. It's a statement of fact that our minds have this tendency to go outward through the senses first. Kaschit dhiraha. A rare self-introspective person. Dhiraha comes from this word dhi, which in Vedanta is also a short, equivalently called buddhi. Buddhi does not just mean intellect. It's a locus of unification of all three faculties. Faculty to reason, faculty to feel deeply, what we call superficially the emotional faculty, and the faculty to will, to do. Yeah? The synthesis of these three faculties together is what is called dhi, which means it's an individual in which these three faculties don't run helter-skelter in different directions, but have a common focus. For such a person who is equipped with dhi is called dhiraha. Kaschit dhiraha, a rare person equipped with this unified focus of three faculties. Pratyagatmanam aikshat. Pratyak is, okay, so this is one of our former presidents, Swami Ranganathananda. He was very fond of saying this. Finger pointing outwards is parak. Same finger pointing inwards towards your own being is pratyak. So this, pratyak is towards one's own being. Pratyak atman. So the essence of one's being, the core of this meaning, quest for meaning, the ultimate culmination of this quest for meaning directed inwards. Yeah? Pratyagatmana aikshat, has seen or has understood. And what has led to this kind of understanding? Amritatvam icchan. Desiring in this confusion between mortality, meaning God getting caught in time, and immortality, meaning quest for meaningfulness, has focused on this latter, namely this quest for meaningfulness, and having found the culmination of that enquiry, has landed with immortality, which is what we call this seeing the Atman, or identifying with the Atman. What prevents us? And the second verse, again, of this second chapter, first 2.1.1, 2.1.2, second verse of 2.1, in the Katha Upanishad, Paracha kaman anuyanti balaha. Balaha literally means children, but it means basically people of childish intellect. Again, intellect should be understood as buddhi, which means what? Being creatures of the moment. Like basically means being caught in the flow of time. Paracha kaman. So it means basically, okay, there is a little toffee or ice cream, my attention gets directed there, my whole being starts flowing towards that ice cream. So what have I become? I have become a desirer of ice cream. What has happened? I have forgotten the quest for meaningfulness. That's all that's happening. So paracha kama nanuyanti bala te mrityor yanti vitatasya parsham. So it's as if death has spread all these nets about us. Death meaning not the physical. If extinction of the physical body is understood as death, it will not solve the problem. Yeah? It is in this moment, then you say, oh, this moment there's no problem, and I'm personally quite fond of ice cream. But the point is, if the whole being is lost in ice cream, then there's a problem. That's really the whole thing. It's being aware. Okay, fine. There is this aspect. Our beings are a confusion of this quest for mortality and a quest for immortality. Yeah? Quest for mortality, yeah, that's the point. When we say that, okay, there is this ice cream that we want above everything else, forgetting everything, forgetting this quest for meaningfulness, that's exactly what has happened. It's a quest for mortality that has crept in. Yeah? Quest for death that has crept in. Yeah? Te mrityanti vitatasya parsham atha dhira pratyeka atman viditva dhruvam adhruveshu ihana prarthayante. So, dhruvam, that which is eternal, that which is permanently meaningful, the permanent, substantial. Yeah? So, that person is not going to quest for the eternal, for meaningfulness, for substance, for that which is real in the ice cream. That's the meaning of the second verse. Okay, so here this is fine. So this is essentially in these two verses, the gist of the conclusion is given by the Katha Upanishad. What remains is, okay, that's great. So suppose we've understood that this is the problem and a solution exists. I'm tempted to narrate this joke about mathematics. It's about mathematicians. Yeah. Okay, so there were these three people, an engineer, a physicist, and a mathematician, and they were being tested. And what happens is that they're sleeping somewhere. Somebody sets fire to the room. The engineer wakes up, looks at it without a moment's thought, catches hold of a bucket of water, and splashes it. The fire is put out. Then it's the physicist's turn, wakes up, sees the fire, picks a little piece of the curtain that's burning, douses it with a little bit of water, says, water puts fire out. And then picks up a bucket, splashes water, and then the fire goes out. Come to the mathematician, wakes up, and says, let's see, there's this fire burning, picks up a little piece of the curtain, puts a little water on it. Water puts fire out. Goes back to sleep very peacefully. Okay, so now that the first two verses are there, which basically tells us the problem and tells us that a solution exists. How do we implement it? Yeah. And then all these yogas from these are ways and means of solving this problem. Again, in the Katha Upanishad, there is this one verse that is there. Yatha udakam shuddhe shuddham asiktam tadrikeva bhavati evam munir vijanata atma bhavati gautama. So just as a little again one of our former presidents, Bhuteshanji, was very fond of this particular verse. See, it's somehow as a drop of water, identified with our own being, purified, falls into pure water and becomes one. So also, an individual who has understood the reality of this, of his or her own being, becomes identified with the all. Yeah? So this is the meaning of this identity of the Atman and Brahman. So the little drop falling into. The point of all our service activities is exactly this. Yeah? Being identifying oneself with the existing reality all around us. It's not a world-denying philosophy. It is getting to say that the substance, the real sum and substance of the reality behind what we call the world around us is the reality behind my individuated existence. That's one. Again, there is a common perception that Vedanta is somehow or the other opposed to devotional practices. It's not. Yeah? So there is this hymn for Sri Ramakrishna that we sing very often, Om Hrim Ritam. Yeah? In that there is a line, Martya Amritam Tava Padam, Marana Urmi Nasham. Yeah? Martya, in this mortal world, Amritam. This Padam in popular connotation means feet, but it really means that which this symbol symbolizes. This picture of Sri Ramakrishna or deity or whoever somebody is devoted to, that is a symbol for immortality. That is the office of immortality. So, Martya Amritam Tava Padam. That, so you, this image or deity who I am worshipping, is the locus of immortality. In this world, within the middle of this mortal world, this image that one is devoted to, is the locus of immortality. Martya Amritam Tava Padam. What does it do? Marana Urmi Nasham. What does it prevent? This constant flowing of the mind and getting caught in the flow of time. That is the Marana Urmi. Urmi means waves. So waves of time in the form of death that catch hold of our being and distract us, those waves are destroyed by this devotional practices. Yeah? So on the one hand, so let me just summarize and finish off. First, there's a identifying within our own being, there is a locus of mrityu, mortality. There's a locus of amrita or immortality. The confusion between them defines our existence, defines human existence. And to clarify this confusion is the purpose of the first question of Nachiketa is exactly this. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushe asti iti eke nayam asti iti chaike. What? Yeah, I'm done. I'm essentially done. Yeah. Okay. So that confusion just gets clarified, and then finally, how to get out of it. It could be through work done in a selfless spirit, could be through devotion, could be through analytical practice, and all of it has this focus of attention about it. So thank you very much.
I held up 5, but he was done, so. Thank you very much, Swami Vidyanathananda. Thank you. Your reference to Viktor Frankl is very dear to my heart. When the outside world is hostile enough, going inside is easier and always necessary. Thank you for that. I also have a new love for mathematics thanks to you. Next speaker is in fact our Swami representative from Sacramento today. And Swami I think I was gonna, it's more theatrical entertainment to see me mangle these things. Swami Ishadhyanananda ji.
Dear Swamijis, respected Matajis, dear friends, about 50 years ago in Stanford University, there was a very interesting experiment known by marshmallow test, probably you know. So some kids were given the option, right now you can have one marshmallow, but if you wait for some time, the instructor will go out, and if you wait for some time, I will come back and give you 2 marshmallows. And they were videotaped. You can go YouTube and see the adorable reactions from the kids. That someone, seeing the marshmallow, again trying to look away. Someone could not, immediately took. And some of the kids could resist their temptations. They could wait for the 2 marshmallows instead of taking one marshmallow right then. So it became marshmallow test, and it was repeated worldwide for every age group to see what happens, why some kids can resist the temptation, what is pleasant right now versus what is good in the long run. And one kid in Colombia, he was given the Oreo, right? The cookies. He looked at it, took it apart, licked the cream, kept it back. And the president of Harvard University said, this guy deserves a scholarship to Harvard. Anyway, the fact is here, these kids were then tracked for next 40 years. And they found those who could resist immediate temptation, immediate pleasure, for the sake of what is good in the long term, they performed well in the schools, in the college. Their performance was good everywhere. They were leading a better life. Their health was better. Their social life was better. They were less addicted to the substances. Overall, they were happier persons. So is that what the problem of all of us? In the morning, should I first go out for the smartphone or sit for meditation for 10 minutes? When I am driving to office, should I listen to bhajans or what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz? When I go to office, in the lunch break, should I complain about what is going in the office, spread gossip, or speak compassionately truth and what is needed when I am needed to speak? When I come back in the evening, should I meditate or just Netflix and chill? Or in the night, I know it is good to sleep earlier, but I still keep on scrolling TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So the problem is the same. We know what is good in the long run, but we are caught between what is pleasant right now. It's a matter of choice, right? And our spiritual life is actually this, a series of choices. A series of choices. It is all about practice. Swami Ashwakananda ji said that religion or spirituality is not a bunch of theories. It is all about practice. This is the difference between ChatGPT and us. If you ask a ChatGPT, it can tell you the wonderful explanation of Katha Upanishad. None of us can do it. But it has not practiced a single thing. This is the difference. So spiritual life, all the quest we are talking about, all boils down to practice. And what is at the heart of practice? This dilemma. These choices, which is pleasant right now, which is really meaningful but seems boring, and not so pleasant right now. And that is at the heart of Katha Upanishad, where Nachiketa asked Yama the question about immortality. Yama first tempted Nachiketa, wanted to see, are you fit for this question? What he did, he offered Nachiketa all the goods of the world. Be a king. Enjoy whatever you like. All the goods, entertainments that are unavailable in this world, I can offer you, Nachiketa. Don't ask me about immortality. So basically the same. And before saying anything about immortality or Atma, Yama speaks about this basic dilemma. Shreyascha preyascha manushsameta tau samparitta vivinyatva dhiraha tayo dhiraha shreyo abhiprayata vinite preyo manda yogo shema vinite. So this choice between what is good, shreya, which will be good, and prayer, pleasant, present before us every time. A dhira, what Swami Vidyanathananda explained, a wise person uses their discernment. And after using the discernment, what they do, we also use our discernment. This is pleasant, this is better. But then we choose the pleasant. But what a dhira does, they, after discerning between the two, they choose the meaningful, which will be paying, which will be ultimately fulfilling, over the pleasant. But the others, most of us, choose what is the pleasant. So this is the heart of the problem. If you look at our spiritual life, this is what the way we all struggle with. That's why even before saying anything about Nachiketa's real question about immortality of the soul, Yama spends a lot of time in this central theme of spiritual life. Are you ready for choosing which will be meaningful, ultimately fulfilling, over what is instant gratification, which is pleasant right now, which is stimulating? So what is the solution then? Willpower, right? Exercising our willpower? Wrong. Wrong. It is not willpower. Apparently it seems that every time we have to choose willpower when we are in a situation between the meaningful and between the pleasant. From the last 50 years, from the marshmallow test, lot of other experiments have happened to understand this phenomenon. Why some people can resist the temptations and others cannot. So that what we can do about it. And they found what, people who have self-control, those who can resist immediate temptation over what is good in the long term, they have something. Paradox of self-control. That is, they don't use their willpower at all. Why? Because they never create a situation where they have to choose between the two. To give an example, after 8, they will switch off their mobile phone so that they don't have to choose between should I sleep early or do some scrolling. In the morning, they will not open their smartphone before breakfast so that they don't have to make the difficult choice, should I go to Instagram, WhatsApp, or sit for 20 minutes. This is called paradox of self-control. So these people, they have found they arrange their life, structure their life around some good habits. Habits, practice. And what is at the heart of good habits? So see the problem. The problem of spiritual life is choosing between what is good and what is pleasant. It comes down to don't put ourselves in a position we have to choose. Rather, it becomes our nature. It becomes our habit. And how do we make good habit? Two simple things. What we are thinking meaningful, we have to be careful. We have to choose a few things which we really feel meaningful. If it is meditation we think will be beneficial for us, we have to imagine the value of meditation that it will bring to us. We have to choose some practices which will really give us meaning to our life. Meaning to our life. And here is one thing about meaning. Meaning does not arise automatically. Meaning also comes from practice, from commitment. If you want to do yoga, on the first day, second day, third day, it will be over. Fourth day you may not find, the meaning. But if you continue for some time, the meaning will come. Meditation, in the beginning it feels wonderful. After some day, boring. We have to consistently do that. Meaning comes from practice. So again, then how to do practice? Habit. How to create habit then? How to create habit? Practice, but very small. Here is the main mistake we do. When we start to do something meaningful, we aim for very high. We think from tomorrow I'll be meditating 1 hour in the morning. We do it for 3 days, for 4 days. After 5 days we find I can't do it. Then we become self-loathing. We become self-critical. What? I can't do it? And this is uncomfortable situation for us. We stop meditation altogether. We cannot sustain a habit because we aim for too high. So one thing, if we want to create good habit, aim for very small. If you want to start meditating from tomorrow, aim for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. After some day you will find you are finding joy in the meditation. And this small momentum will build up. You automatically will start feeling, let me do it more. Let me do it more. This is at the heart of spiritual life. Spiritual life means a series of habits. If you look at any person you know to be spiritual, you have seen in your life as a spiritual, they don't much talk about practices. It is all about their daily habits. They have not become a creature of comfort. They have not become a creature of choosing every moment, should I go this way or that way. Their life, you will see, series of good habits. From morning to night, habit, habit, habit. So forget about immortality. Forget about immortality. I again remember Swami Ashokanandaji. Sister Gargi used to poke him or ask him very often about immortality. Ashokanandaji once told Gargi, if you cannot live in eternity, live in the present with grace. And if we want to live our life, our mortal life, forget about immortality. If we want to live our mortal life meaningfully, gracefully, only one solution, that is good habits. And how do we make good habits? By aiming for less and choosing things which are meaningful. And finally, last thing, how do we choose what is meaningful? There are so many options for meaningful. What is meaningful? one test. I would say, imagine this is your last day. Imagine. It is not something fantasy. It could be. Who knows? Who knows what is one's last day? Suppose in the morning you wake up, able-bodied, no health issues, and you come to know this is my last day. How do you want to spend the day? Would you like to go for a walk in nature or scroll the Instagram? Would you like to do spiritual practice or just watch WhatsApp videos after videos? Would you like to read something elevating or do Netflix and chill? So think about that. That will give you a sense of what is really meaningful to you. And for us, for every one of us, meaningful things will differ. But you will see all will come down to things which will really give meaning, purpose for our life. If we choose such things which are meaningful and devote a little time, a little time. From tomorrow I cannot start taking 10,000 steps. Impossible. Can I take 100 steps more from tomorrow? You will see after some time you have crossed 10,000 steps. And finally, one hopeful thing I will say. It's a very latest finding. Here there are many people who are aged. Aged. You know the term super-ager? Super-agers. People who are very old but their mind and brain are very young. Their cognitive function is just like a 30-year-old. You know what is the secret in the super-agers? One common thing they have found in super-agers. Not health, not yoga, not food. Surprisingly, all the super-agers who at their 90s keep the brain of 30s have one common thing. They find their life have meaning. Not only that, every day they get to spend their time in meaningful activities. So, all it boils down to, immortality comes down to a meaningful mortal life. A meaningful mortal life comes down to habit. Habit comes down to finding meaningful practices and doing little every day, so that our life, mortal life, become graceful. Is not that a massive upgrade? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Swami Vidyanathananda. Meaning comes from practice, so I'll have to practice. There's a bridge between East and West. It probably comes in the form of multisyllabic Sanskrit terms. I wanted to make sure while I'm thanking, before the final speaker, while I'm thanking Parag and the usher team and Shashi and Sogita and the audiovisual team, Radha Krishnan and the others, and also Niranjan for helping organize all the setup. All these beloved devotees, volunteers, musicians, and right in front of me, this is why I'm doing this, the promise, without whom we accomplish nothing. And thank you very much, and the info tent is beautiful as ever. So thank you. Now, since meaning comes from practice, the tours are going to follow the final address. I don't know, I'll have to ask whether there's time for Q&A.
After the final speech, you can make announcements. Otherwise, towards the
Yeah. You're going to give me time to make announcements. Okay. Because I want to do that. So revision. We're not hearing from 6 swamis. One was unable to come, so there are 5 swamis, and the 5th swami is the next speaker, Swami Tattwamayananda.
we are a little behind schedule, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do full justice to the subject at hand. but as a formality. Now, the actual word in Katha Upanishad is Amritattvam Ichan. That's the exact Sanskrit equivalent of this central theme, topic we find. Amritattvam Ichan. Somebody who is in search of immortality. So the basic question arises. In fact, there is a very long dialectical, polemical exchange of ideas between different schools of philosophers in the Katha Upanishad Bhashyas and also in the Krishna Yajurveda as to whether immortality is something to be attained, something you should search for, or whether it is our own true nature. So the Advaitins idea is immortality is not something that comes from outside. It's our true nature, it's our Swarupa. When we talk about going in search of immortality, what we mean is we are rediscovering, we are reinventing our own nature. Immortality is not something to be attained, to be obtained, to be processed, to be worked out. So it's not Vaivikarya, it's not Samskarya, it's not Apya, etc., Utpadya, etc. It is not something that you make a pot from clay. It is not something that you process like you process oil from oil seeds, or something that you reach, you travel from one place to another, Gama, Gamandra, Gavanam, etc. So it is not something that you attain, reach, obtain, but rather we are discovering our own true nature, which we somehow forgot. So, in other words, mortality is a foreign body. Immortality is our own true nature. So then why this word Amritattvam Ichan? Icha means a desire to do something, to attain something. Because we have to begin there. So this is often explained in the traditional scriptures in the light of Pancha Koshas and also the last expression that comes after Pancha Kosha. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. And then Brahma Bhuchan Pradishtha. So according to Advaita, and this is very important to understand, if you are talking about going in search of immortality, then you are going for something that is alien from you. If you are going from here to San Francisco, it means you are not in San Francisco. From here you go to San Francisco, it means you are right now somewhere away from San Francisco. If you are going for immortality, in search of immortality, it means right now you are mortal. Vedanta tells you it is a terrible lie to say that you are mortal. You are immortal. That's your true nature. This is a very important point to understand. Now, what is this immortal nature? As often mentioned in the previous lectures, the absolute reality is beyond time. Beyond time means it doesn't recognize the boundaries of the past, present and future. It doesn't recognize the boundaries of change. It's called Sadvikara Atita. Something that comes into existence from a state of empirical non-existence to a state of empirical existence. Jayate, Asti, existing, then Parinamate, Vardhate, Abhakshayate, Vinashri. These are all different changes. Being born, existing, growing, evolving, dying and disappearing. Our true nature is we are Atman, we are Amritam. But then somehow we have come under this wrong notion that immortality is something to be obtained. That is true for Ayurveda also. The fundamental principle of Ayurveda is, you fall sick because something alien to you has gripped you. Prasannatmananda swasthaja vidhiyati. So, the true nature, that is Charaga Susruta says, Charaga Susruta both repeat this. Our true nature of health is when our senses, body and mind are in a perfect state of equilibrium, always in its own state of internal bliss and internal fulfillment. That is Prasannatmananda Sosthaga. Who is a healthy person? A healthy person is somebody for whom his body doesn't remind him about its existence. When you fall sick, if you have headache, the head is reminding I am here. If you don't have a headache, you are not aware of the existence of your head. If you don't have a stomach pain, then you don't remember the stomach. But stomach pain reminds you I am here. Like that, whenever we have something in our system which is not our natural part, then something else comes into existence. And that again is a temporary. Our true nature is that we are Atman, we are immortal. In the most profound discussion of this subject comes in actually Vedanta Upanishad, in the Yajnavalkya Maitreyi Samvada, Amrutva, that is Amrutva Mimamsa, going in search of Amrutva. So just a few words, I don't want to mention too far, but what I meant to say is, Amrutvam, according to the Katha Upanishad, is our true nature. Let us take the three boons. Shanta Sankalpa Sumana Yadasya Vedamanyu Gautamama Abhimutyu Tuk Prasistama Abhivade Prasida Edatrayanam Prathamam Varam Prine. The first boon, already mentioned in many previous lectures, Nachiketa wanted to have a good worldly life, what we call in Hindi roti kapda makan. That's what it means actually. Empirical life, social security, good jobs, Medicare. That's what actually he wanted. The next stage is, can I have all this when I leave this body behind? When the body is pushed the tube, can I have my checkbook with me in fountain pen, bank balance? So he wanted, that is why Sattvamadni Sordhimadeshu Murtyo Prapuruhitam Sadhudanaya Makyam Sorgaloka Amrutam Bhajandi Edatrayanam Prathamam Varam Prane. Here also Amrutam comes. Amrutam here means long life, long periods of enjoyment, because the angels in heaven live for a very long time. But they also have to be one day away from heaven, be born again as human beings, according to Hindu tradition. So the third boon is a real question. That's actually the only question that really matters in Katha Upanishad. Eyam Praidi Vijiksa Manushi Nayamastidi Nayamastidi Edavidya Manusista Stoyakam Varanam Esha Varastudiham. Eyam Praidi Vijiksa Manushi Asti Tege Na Ayam Asti Idisai. So Nachiketa asks a third boon. That boon is not very easy to ask. So, if you have all that you want in this world, a good job, money, wealth, status, everything, still you feel something yet to be attained. It kind of inner incompleteness, imperfection. You want something more. That can come only to highly evolved person. Normal human beings are happy with whatever is available here. When you are a highly evolved person, then you have some kind of divine dissatisfaction, even when you have everything with you. Buddha, born in a palace, he was a son of a king, and 28 years, one day was taken for a ride in the city, and he found a dead body being taken to the cremation ground, a sick man, old man, so all days death and sickness, terrible things. So what's the meaning of this? So he walked 1300 miles to Bodh Gaya, sat under a tree. He says, Ihasane Shishuddhi Me Sharidam Tugasti Mamsam Vilayanchi Yadhu Aprapi Siddhim Bhujanma Durlabham Naivasanat Kayam Adascharishyati. Buddha, Leda Vistara and Buddha God, Ashogosha, Buddha Vidya, all these mention the same idea. Buddha sat under a tree. I want to ask this question. What's my true nature? And unless I realize this, I won't get up from the seat. And he became Buddha through this process of inquiry. That's also was an inquiry in search of immortality. But then, the greatness was, Buddha had everything going on well for him. He was a prince, he was living in a palace, was really luxurious background, still he was not unhappy. He was very unhappy. He was not fully happy. He wanted something more. So the point is, Nachiketa has come to that stage. The third boon, he says, some people say after death somebody is left behind, something is left behind. Some people say no, nothing is left behind. When the body is pushed the tube in the crematorium, that's a full stop, no more. So, Nachiketa wanted to find an answer. As a result of this, Yama gave him the answer. That is, Anoraniyan Makutu Mahiyan Atma Sijindo Nikidam Guvayam Tamakrdu Pashati Vida Chogaha Dhatu Prasadat Mahimanam Atmanaha. There is one supreme reality that is the subtlest of the subtle, present in everything, the immanent reality, and also omnipresent, the largest of the large, and the minutest of the minute. That's a true nature, that is you. So, immortality comes when we turn our inquiry inward. That is pratyak. So, that means when we try to find that everything else in this world is imperfect, incomplete, we should get back to our own true identity, and that is our immortal, eternal, imperishable Atman. This is a very, very long discussion in many dialectical works which I won't discuss with you right now. The point is this, it's a very, very profound inquiry, and that's very crux of Vedanta philosophy. The essence of, rather the central theme of Katha Upanishad is the third boon. Everything else everywhere there. Nachiketa, you look at the early story, his father, very shrewd, crooked man. He wanted to have big reputation as a Vajpayee yajna. Vajpayee means somebody who has then performed Vajpayee yajna, one of the Saptavidha Soma yajnas. It's also used Saptahavir yajna. One of the Vedic rituals called Vajpayee yajna, Vishwadi. And one of his most important rituals is you have to give up everything you have with you. So this man wanted to have the great good name, reputation. I am a very compassionate, charitable person. So he had to give up whatever he has, plenty of cows. And he distributed Pidodaga, Jaddadurna, Duddadoga, Nirindriya. Cows that won't give any more milk, can't eat grass, and may give occasional kicks also. Cows that can't eat grass, can't drink water, absolutely useless. But he wanted the good name that he was a very charitable philanthropist, compassionate person. And then the young boy comes to his father's side. Kasmai mam dasasidi. To whom are you going to give me? Murtivetvam dadamiti. I am going to give you to death. And that he begins his journey, comes to Yama, and this is how the story unfolds. Very, very famous topic. I don't have enough time to do full justice to the subject, but you should read again and one important reason why I chose this subject for this year's topic is a very great central theme of the Upanishadic philosophy, and Swami Vivekananda admired Katha Upanishad. Katha Upanishad, incidentally, is not the most profound or the most important Upanishad. In terms of importance and significance, it's only fifth one. Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya, Taittiriya, and Mundaga, Mandukya, then Katha Upanishad. Katha Upanishad is not as profound as Brihadaranyaka. It's almost 6 times as big as Katha Upanishad. Chandogya, more than maybe 4 or 5 times. But Katha Upanishad is important according to Swami Vivekananda because it contains something that is a message for all of us, not only in ancient times, but also in our own times. So I'm very happy that revered Swamijis have come here and gave some very meaningful lectures and also pretty long presentation by Swami Prasannatmananda. And the Swami, the visiting Swami from India, he also gave a very rather informal new approach to Katha Upanishad. And we thank you so much to every one of you. And thank you for being here. Now Bobby Coleman will represent Vedanta Society. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Swamiji. I apologize for the compressed time, but very important to emphasize that we don't search for immortality, but realize it within ourselves. Just an incredibly valuable reminder. Three things. There's a special memorial gift, one per family. Don't forget to retrieve that. I believe they're distributed behind in the tent over there, the white tent behind you. There are tours, at least 2 of them going out. You can be easily directed towards Niranjana and towards Vedanta-ji, who will tour the property briefly. There are many historical sites to see. There are also refreshments following that. I'm told there are samosas as well as beverages down the hill at that site. Another thing, additional thanks to the 4 volunteers who came up from Hollywood, who were staying here and helping us immeasurably. Thank you to the Hollywood devotees. And also, thanks to all of you for coming and everyone else I mentioned earlier, and to Swami Aparananda, Swami Prasannatmananda, got it, Prasannatmananda-ji, Swami Vidyanathananda-ji, Swami Ishadhyanananda-ji, close, and Swami Tattwamayananda-ji. Thank you very much. And so thank you all.